strong teams. So I'm looking to see if Reciprocity can replicate that same performance from last week. Can they just brush off the first map, right? You had them right where you wanted them. It slipped away. You know what? It happens. Bounce back on the second map. We saw Reciprocity have a really good showing on Bunker already today. I believe they won, was it 7-1 against Hive on this very same map. So this is a map they're familiar on. This is a map they feel strong on. This is their pick, keep in mind, right? Reciprocity was the higher seed this time around. Let's see what they can do in this Grand Finals.
Yeah, this is their opportunity. This is the chance, right? We talked about sending it to a Game 3. Obviously, you did it last week, but still yet, you want to try to lock this one down if you're a Rec. Or rather, if you're NRG, as quick as possible, right? Get this 2-0 done. Do not visit Reciprocity in a third game. As clearly indicated, it doesn't always work out to the greatest of results. Regardless, though, like we talked about at the start of this round number 1, it's going to be interesting to see exactly how a roster like Reciprocity starts to kind of, answer back, right? You do lose a close game. You're kind of in the mode of like, hey, we should be winning this game. We were kind of in the driver's seat. Despite us not being anywhere near the elimination advantage, we're still getting it done, which just goes to show rotations, the way they were kind of evaluating their lives, were very, very interesting and very intriguing as well. So it's going to be fun to watch how Reciprocity kind of starts to bank in. And I got to say, one guy who I definitely have my eye on is this guy Powers, right? When I had the chance to commentate over him kind of in the later stages of Gears of War 4, you hyped him up, you talked about him obviously because you were in one of the primary seats to add him into the pro scene, but even still yet, he was the difference maker for that Olds Rise Station squad. He was just the guy who at times would get that 2-3 kind of kill swing in favor of the roster that would oftentimes kind of lead them in the comeback. So I think for this guy Powers, he's definitely someone to look out for, and someone that can kind of withstand the power that exists on the NRG side.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, one of the most prolific Slayers we have. At his very first event, he led the entire venue in slaying and in kills. So again, one of the shining stars of the Gears Pro circuit. We're going to see what him and his team can do. Unfortunately, just as they take control of the B hill, it is NRG who takes it back. That's going to be 4 dead for Reciprocity. Rushy's the last alive, as this is the first round. These are the long spawns, so Rush basically just has to stay alive. It's really his only mission right now. His home hill is being surrounded. He will have some players off spawn. Can they get there in time? He gets a nice kill on the Solars. Somehow he's going to stay alive too. That was incredible, doing that as damaged as he was. Reciprocity fighting for their home hill. You see the time being quickly caught up, right? NRG with that 2 cap. Trying to make it a 3, end it right here. Can Rush shoot again? The answer is going to be no this time, despite some late heroics in that round. It is NRG who will strike first on Bunker.
Yeah, it was kind of a consistent push, kind of all, throughout for NRG. It was kind of the instant focus at the beginning, a little bit of back and forth, if you will, but for the most part, it was NRG just consistently pretty much pushing the barrier back, kind of keeping that train going and taking on Reciprocity in the process of it. So that's round number 1 going the way of NRG Esports, to be specific. But when we talk about a map like Bunker, I know the conversation that we had kind of in the pre-show a little bit, or kind of in the pre-game analysis that we were kind of going back and forth about, was a little bit of a bigger map. A lot of interesting rotations need to be made. I know we talked about NRG Reciprocity, still have really yet to play this one officially on a broadcasted series. Do you feel like that favors anyone in particular? Does it favor maybe the lack of slang because NRG is more typically winning those, or do you think it favors a squad like Reciprocity who is more kind of minded on the matter of rotations, or more kind of crafty when it comes down to things?
I mean, there's a lot of angles, right? There's a lot of opportunities to use those lines of sight to get that team fire. There's close quarters. I mean, there's a little bit of everything on this map.
Sure.
And Powers, for example, is incredibly good at the spot he plays in this map, as you see right in front of you. I do think, like I said, because of some of the lines of sight opportunities for this team to use their team fire, right? Teams that are led by franchise typically like to have good teamwork, good team fire. So I think that situation, that can help mitigate because of like the size of the map, right? You saw them play a team like Hive, who's also hyper skilled, hyper aggressive. Yep. They're able to kind of, out team them there a little bit. But at the end of the day, we also, despite how much we talk about NRG's skill, they also have world-class teamwork, right? You don't win that many events if you don't have incredible teamwork. So the things that, Reciprocity has strength on, NRG does as well, and vice versa, right? To say that Reciprocity is a great teamwork team with good team fire doesn't also mean they have absolute maniacs like Powers who can do that in close quarters. So a little bit of best of both worlds, and very, very quickly they tie the score at 1-1.
You start talking about Powers, and he's just like, oh, You rang, did you? Are you giving the call to me? Is that what's happening here? It absolutely is. That's 12 eliminations through 2 rounds already.
He's insane.
He is. And the fact that once he kind of gets going, it really is. It's hard to drop this guy. Whenever he's hot, he keeps flowing and keeps on pushing through. It's like, you know, in basketball, when you keep giving the player the 3 and he keeps knocking it down, that's exactly the way the Powers works, especially in those close quarter positions as per usual. But like we said, that's 1-to-1 off the break. Nothing too influential when it comes to weapon placement. As per usual, you kind of expect some drop shots rather, as time does go on. Probably at the end of this round, we'll be visiting that one. But even still yet, a pretty even spread for both of these teams. Like you said, Powers in this position oftentimes can be the MVP player, and already getting some damage done onto Summons. Ready for the close-up push, however, is getting targeted. Has to back up, instantly wants to get back in the fray again as Rushies does fall. The front line for Reciprocity is starting to get hammered a little bit.
How has Powers managed to stay alive? He got tagged up, sort of re-engaged, got tagged up. Unfortunately, his teammates are not able to stay alive, but he's managed to continue maneuvering. The franchise is going to kind of end up getting out of it. I think they've conceded that they're going to lose the B hill, at least for now. Going to have time to spawn back up, kind of go for that retake.
And this map is like kind of very catered to, at least from these first few rounds, very catered on, I know the initial is the common term, but just in general, I mean, instantly Reciprocity loses 2 players, NRG pushes forward, and now we're in a situation where it's like, hey, if Powers falls in that spot, Ryan is looking very grim. That's the thing that I kind of brought up with this being a bigger map, if you will. If you start to falter, that's a lot of time where it takes for you to kind of get back in the gameplay a little bit. You have to play your life a little bit more when it comes down to an open area. And based off of that, 2 elimination swing, that's NRG who has a very solid lead. And now Reciprocity who start to feel the pressure. Here comes the flash. Franchise trying to hop in and actually do something. Unfortunately, he's flashed. You can only do so much, and Summons comes up clutch. Takes down 2. Explosive on one end is trying to target out Icy. And in 2 plays back-to-back, Reciprocity, they just can't break in.
See Summons using good team fire, right? Getting right in there at close range. Shooting for his team on the other end. See once again NRG in control of that B hill. Rec going for that 2 cap momentarily. I think they know it's not going to be a sustainable setup for them. They're going to have to get a hold of this neutral. You get Summons down pretty quickly. It's a good start. Powers gets the pickup on the Praised. Good push coming in from Reciprocity. That's going to take down 3 members. Explosive and Mental, the dynamic duo are the last alive. Mental gets 1. Looks like he will not be contested at the very least, so this will give Reciprocity an opportunity to kind of close that gap, close that time lead with that neutralization on C. You see Swarm is in position to win in 40 seconds. Boys and Energy, you got to imagine, surely will move towards that B hill. You see Explosive making his way up towards the top middle. I think he knows, though, he has to be with his team. They have to get on that neutral hill before Reciprocity takes back control of the time lead. Has that flashbang. He spotted Rushies. Doesn't need to use his flashes yet. Fran, though, gets 1. Fran's going to get behind enemy lines now. The time gap is about to be closed. However, Praise gets the break. His teammate goes down. He gets 1. Can he get 2? The answer's no. Reciprocity also on the C hill. They're in control of all objectives. Solar's not even going to spawn back in. Good plays by Reciprocity to gain control of the hills and win the time lead back. 2-1. That's 2 straight for our Swarm team. They're trying to push us to a map 3.
And for me, what's crazy is that we talked about in the kind of initial, it was NRG who walks away with 2 big elims that resets Reciprocity. They try to do the same thing again. They rush in. What happens? They falter a second time. Then they start to make the OE, right? They make the presence felt at NRG's home base. Instantly, the majority of the game, the percentage, I would say 60% of the game that has already been decided, just at the flip of a coin, instantly turns around into Reciprocity's hands. And that's because of the size of this map. Because NRG starts to feel the pressure, they're then sent to go back to their home base. What was a huge advantage instantly turns on its head by just one particular play. And that is, to me, so influential about this map on Bunker. It's not about who is the best overall. It's who's best in the specific situation. And in that particular moment, it was Reciprocity all the way.
Yeah, absolutely. And you see Powers kind of edging behind. It's like Reciprocity will strike first, at least in that B hill. Powers took a shot on Praise. Praise took a good shot on Powers. You see kind of their body language. They both quickly went for that back roll. very least, so they each gain that information. Now you're going to see multiple members of NRG coming around. Powers is going to get flanked. That's going to be explosive coming towards the middle. Good call-outs coming in from NRG. The decap is going to come in. Rec builds a slight lead. Shooting back, you see Kenny in that window. Franchise going to get the cleanup. Rush can get it down too. Reciprocity doing a great job defending this B hill.
As we've come to know it, right? One good push from NRG, and
it's going to be at least 3. Mental
foiled,
tagged up too.
Yeah.
All we got to do is keep their distance. Don't let them get a chunk. Good job by Reciprocity playing together and playing wide. Last thing you want to do is let Mental get in and get one of those famous chunks.
But I think for Reciprocity, for me at least, based on the way that last round played, I would focus a lot on the OE, right? Watch this lane in particular, depending on how you want to try to allocate the positions. This is where NRG is going to send, I think, a majority of their forces. So you kind of see what kind of a 2-1-2 type split. Obviously, players are kind of continually maneuvering throughout the map, but you see they're kind of prepared for this. Kenny on the long route, you've got one up close, and I believe that's Icy. Powers on the other end. Powers may have the play to make. Now maybe the chance for NRG to start to break in. Here's the push. Like I said, one smart push and the entire round can flip on its head. NRG, though, not able to make a crazy amount of presence occur in that last position is praised. Up close. They do find the first. That's Summons who does find the nade onto, or rather the knife onto Icy. And here comes the OE. Praise actually not even going for the hill. He instantly goes for the hill, or rather for the middle hill, not the home hill, rather. And that could be the big deciding factor in this situation. Yeah, there's Solars. Praise is rushing forward. He's being the one-man wrecking crew. The blitz that we talked about.
Look at Rush just getting out of there. Choosing to preserve his life. I like that play. At the very least, give one more Lancer, right? One more set of gunfire over towards C. They know that NRG has no choice but to push. And just you can see how long of a trek that
Powers.
is
Look at
all the way
Powers.
over.
He's playing for the late game. If they start to cap the hill, he's still there. He's going to go back to B.
They get the break. Not going to be enough, though. Except there's still
Powers in the B now.
A big piece of time in their favor. Brand gets one, Kenny gets another. And that one pellet was all it took. That's going to be all down. Powers getting that kill on Mental for good measure. I love that play, by the way, from I believe it was Rushies to basically, like I said, he noticed that there was the 2 members at B. He knew that they had to get both, hills and majority of the kills. What he basically did was cut his losses. Knew he's not winning that fight. Even if he gets one of those kills, it's still going to send them heading over towards his own home hill. So what he said was, all right, like, I don't need to die for this. There's no reason, right?
Sure.
You can have the B hill. That's not what's important to me right now. Got back over to his home hill, helped his team play defense, and they ended up winning the round because of it. So, again,
I'm glad that you brought that up because for me, like as soon as you mentioned that, I was like, oh, that makes perfect sense. Like back up, be involved in the fight because if he falls, the numbers are split, and because in that same situation, I don't know if that requires kind of the safety valve, if you will, and Powers to continue to rotate. If he gets back in the fight, he probably rotates still yet because he's not even near his teammates. That's a 3 versus 5 fight, and I think a majority of the time you take NRG in that position. So, as you called it, very well played from Reciprocity. In a very smart position where a lot of people would probably push that one forward. Not at all the case for these guys.
You see NRG winning on the other side of the map towards the hill. Powers knows he's bound to get shot over from B. Tries to stay alive. Meanwhile, Kenny holding that drop shot over at the home hill. Powers starting to be surrounded. Finally, enemy dropped. Let's see what NRG chooses to do from here. Trying to edge a little bit forward towards the home hill, but I think they know. Without full numbers, they can't really hop over there just yet. I think they're ready and waiting for the NRG push, right? NRG pretty much has the choice to make. On bunker, like I said so many times, you do see the team going for the retake on the B hill. You don't see as many OEs as you see on other maps.
That seems to be the case.
Kenny with that drop, too. Gets rid of summons there. That's going to be big. That's going to give Reciprocity a chance to push. There's going to be players from middle. They're going to know that, but at the very least, they get the kind of the nuisance off of the hill right towards the middle. Solars, though, with a drop of his own, going to go ahead and equalize it. Holding that one in the back pocket. NRG does, however, get the break. Now we have Solars versus Icy once again. We saw this 1v1 up top on Exhibit. Both players tag each other up. Now you're going to see Solars kind of back away as well. I think he knows he's outmatched. New drop shot, hands of praise. Someone, however, on NRG has made their way over to the Reciprocity home hill. They're currently capping A. Summons pockets the drop shot. This would be a big kill for Kenny. Kenny can equalize this power weapon. We've seen how impactful, especially in that window, these drop shots can be. Summons one of the best 1v1 players we've ever seen in Gears of War. He loves situations like this. He's just waiting.
Do your worst, Kenny. Do your worst.
Just waiting. All those singles matches. He instead just decides to get out of there. Kenny, though, has done some damage to him. He's tagged him up quite a bit. He ends up actually making him fall. But in the end, Kenny brings it down for 4 dead for Reciprocity. They're going to start breaking hills now, too.
Yeah, indeed.
Solars versus Rush. Rush is in a good spot. Here comes the teamwork. Here comes the pinch. It's there. They're on C. 2v1. Can Mental do it? The answer is no. He does not get on the hill on time. He's right in front of it. Didn't step in. Domination from Reciprocity.
And we didn't see domination in that last game, Ryan. Those are all 250s. Not
like that play. You saw the NRG kind of hit him with an OE on their home hill, right? The second the Reciprocity kind of regained control, you saw the kind of resources shift. Next thing you know, it's Reciprocity on the NRG home hill.
Yeah.
And again, one thing that always has made NRG so hard to beat is the fact that they are so good even in 1v1 situations, right? And to see Kenny kind of outwit and outmatch Summons in one of his kind of battlegrounds, right? Summons is one of the most notorious 1v1 players we've ever seen. If you're going to win fights like that, that's going to be something that you need to do if you're going to beat this NRG team.
Seems to be the key to success. Reciprocity, at least so far, have answered the call. We'll now enter to our final round of the half. See if NRG can have an answer, go into this one 4-2, at least somewhat cut their losses. As Powers may have sneakily found himself on a little bit of a nice situation. That's the typical play, player kind of hiding around that excess barrel.
And Rec, once again, hopping on that B hill. They seem to take initiative over there so many times, getting control of that hill first. But the drop shot's going to come in. That is going to just rain all over their parade at the B hill. Solars opening with a double kill. That's going to actually give NRG the neutral hill, despite Rec kind of trying to strike first. Drop shot comes in. It's going to end up being just a hit marker for Kenny. Pistol work going to come in. He's going to get pushed. Kenny respond. Mental's going to miss a shot. Kenny's going to hit one pellet and then accidentally misroll. Mental makes him pay. Now Mental gets to go help his teammate. That's going to be a down on Powers. Map control and numbers currently favor the COG team.
Does indeed. We'll see exactly when NRG can keep funneling that. You've seen Reciprocity answer pretty valiantly back previously, but if you're NRG, it's pretty much like we've talked about. Play your numbers, play the time. Obviously, the score does indicate 70 seconds. This is their dub and one that they desperately need to take. You see Reciprocity starting to kind of supply their forces where they may, as the drop shots now back in the hands of both sides.
Eyes on target.
Now it's the waiting game, right? Now it's a matter of just trying to find the pick and see exactly what kind of their angle is as of this moment, as it looks as if Icy does in fact take down Solars off the rip. Here comes the flash. And another one tossed out. Mental goes big. Praise takes down a second. A great possible situation for them, but Reciprocity is trying to handle business. That's going to be 3 up for either side for the moment, as one player, rather 2 spawn up quickly for Rec. In terms of short spawns, Icy gets the job done. While the hill wasn't in their hands, it is back again.
This is a big play by Icy, coming right getting those kills. And one of those things we talk about when it comes to being heads up was he got the down, and he didn't thirst for the kill, right? You saw he got into cover, kind of regained his health that split second, let his teammate go for that elimination. Had he gone to try to get the kill on the ground, he probably would have died. So again, just it's the little things that some of these players do that make them so smart. You can see, despite Reciprocity winning that fight over at B, it looks like it is back in NRG's hands just as quickly. They're currently up around 65 seconds. If you're Reciprocity now, I don't think you need to spawn back in. I think you can see, you can hear the bells. The round is as good as over. I think they know they're going to already, like I said, they're already up quite a bit, right? They're going to end that half at a 4-2. I guess now that I think about it, it is the last round of the half, so they can do the respawns in there, just kind of all for nothing. But at the very, very least, right, you come out of that half feeling pretty good, right? You're up 4-2. Again, looking very similar to last week, right? Last week we saw Reciprocity lose a close map 1, shake it off, come out very, very strong on map 2. We're seeing almost a repeat so far as they lead 4-2 in the first half. Of course, the hills are now going to move. It's going to obviously change the fight. You're going to see this respawn timers being changed back, right? We're going to start off with some very, very long spawns again. Of course, weapons are going to stay static.
Now, in your eyes, from what we got to witness in the first half, NRG down 2-4. Realistically, what do they need to do to kind of change things back up and get maybe back into form, if you will?
Yeah, like I said, it's going to be a much different fight now. The hills have moved, right? Home hills have shifted, neutral hill has shifted. One thing to keep in mind is how good Powers has been on this side of the map, right? He has just been a wrecking ball over towards that side, and look at him continue to move forward, killing everyone in sight, having his way with the opposition. Kenny getting a big kill too. These are long spawns. And Kenny gets a second! Kenny and Powers with back-to-back double kills, going huge. Going for the trip cap explosive, gonna get chunked as well. No one from NRG can get there in time. Reciprocity start the second half swinging, and they move that lead out to 5-2.
They just swung for the fences. All right. Well, there you have it.
That was
the question
beautiful.
was on NRG, but Reciprocity were there for the answer. They're the ones who signed their name on the dotted line, and that's Powers up to 29 kills. That's most in the game so far, folks. My goodness, that was scary. Oh, my. Well, except disable placed, and it will be most likely on the XS drop shot as well. There's no more drops, at least for now, which, you know what, could be a positive or negative depending on the way you look at it. But for Reciprocity, they can sit comfortably, especially after a round like that. That is confidence, right? That's the situation where we're looking at this one. We're kind of going back to the drawing board, and we're saying, hey, Rec, how do you answer back after a solid half? They come through with the most dominant one yet.
Again, I want to continue to keep an eye on Powers. Like I said, he just gets this side of the map started, and I probably cast a person there because he got chunked by Praise. Rush in there for the trade. Praise going to follow up. Praise taking a low health. Icy tries to get in there and get a shot in the back. Praise so low health, but unfortunately not taken down. A quick 5 wipe 30 seconds later. Reciprocity still with a 2-round lead, but NRG strikes back in the second half.
Gosh, it really is just a matter of both these teams just feel so equal, but in different ways. Like at certain times
they're
they
very
look
strong.
What is it?
They're both so strong. We were going through before, like, okay, you know, Reciprocity has incredible teamwork, team fire. Okay, NRG has a ton of skill, but by the way, Reciprocity has a ton of skill, and NRG has a ton of teamwork and team fire.
Like you could argue the percentages of which both teams kind of have one attribute more than the other, but they still possess, you know, the same kind of skill sets overall. And in situations like that, we know that's capable from NRG, but we obviously know it's capable from Reciprocity as well. 2
strong in-game leaders. I mean, like I said, they have a little bit of everything. Hyper-skilled players.
And that just goes to show how quickly these rounds can be if you don't have the right, you know, kind of forces in play. We've seen NRG score lines. We saw what they just did to Rise Nation a few moments ago. We saw what Reciprocity was looking like as well in certain moments. I mean, these teams can easily do that to each other depending on if the other can make a crucial mistake, which is what we saw in the last 2, but not the start. Mental.
Powers, I think he wants that one shot back. Was waiting for him. Unfortunately, just kind of whiffed the shot. Mental made him pay. Quickly, 3 members down for Reciprocity. Rush and Fran trying to equalize it. Revive should be coming in. They're going to continue to move forward onto the F hill. Mental is there waiting as well. He seems to be catching everyone off guard. Fran going to miss the follow-up shots, and once again, Mental has remained alive. Seems to be everywhere on the map. I don't know if he's teleporting, instant transmission. I don't know what it is, but he seems to just be everywhere Reciprocity moves towards. Hopping on board now with Kenny. Gonna wait for his reinforcements. Timely beginning to build for the COG team.
Does Kenny have bounce?
Does Kenny have bounce?
Yeah, does he have bounce?
Kenny comes from the House of Bounce.
Okay.
I did see demo in the chat earlier, so we have multiple House of Bounce members.
I like that.
Demo Bounce and Kenny Bounce.
Are there any more bounce members? Is there worldwide?
There's a number of Bounce bros. I mean, you know,
bounce bros.
In Gears 4, everyone kind of became the House of Bounce, so it,
Gotcha.
you know, it kind of changed the play style a little bit. So the House of Bounce though still has its OGs.
I think I need to ask my questions more carefully next time. I don't know, but NRG 3 down, at least for a short moment. And that's going to be a knife to the back. Rushies will gladly take that one on to Praise. That's going to be back to the drawing board, if you will, for the moment. It's going to be E as well as F now in the hands of Rec. Mental quickly on a nice jaunt, if you will. It looks as if Summons & Co. will start to focus their attention back toward E. They've got the 2v1 advantage by definition. Still hitting a few shots over that wall onto Icy. Has a little bit of a headache after that last shot, and now it's going to be corresponded with another. And while in the meantime, NRG's making some work done at E. Reciprocity in the overall scheme of things actually manages to get that double home hill setup.
Yeah, and just like that, the time lead has now been erased. You're seeing Reciprocity holding those 2 hills. Powers seems to be his favorite spot on the map, right? Always kind of lurking around, always waiting. It's going to now put NRG on their toes. It's going to hop on that hill. They're going to hear the bells ding. At the very least, it's going to turn NRG's attention over to somewhere else. That could give them the opportunity. Maybe get back after that home hill. You see the rotations coming in from Rec. Kills starting to come in from Rec. Mental's going to fall. Summons is going to fall. Explosive seemingly has nowhere to go. He's absolutely surrounded. Kenny finishes him off as well. Things are looking good now for Reciprocity. You see them over towards E to the remaining hill that NRG had. Looks like there's just nothing they can do. I'd be surprised if they even decide to spawn back in because we're at the 220 mark. They got both hills. Reciprocity is in control, and now we are 1 round away from yet another game number 3 in this matchup.
Oh, my goodness. Folks, turn off this. No. Oh, gosh. They enjoyed that. They enjoyed that heavily. Franchise a boot to the noggin. Oh, goodness.
It's showing some love, as we call it, over here in the UMG studio.
Yep, showing some love.
It's a lot of love.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Both these teams, do they really want to win? Nah, I think they're just happy, you know. No, absolutely not. Reciprocity, though,
This is
6-3.
This is interesting, though. Like I said, one of the biggest takeaways for me was the fact that we never saw these teams in an official setting play this map. So now we start to kind of get an idea as we head closer to San Diego of kind of the map pool, right? We talk about teams having map pools, and it gets talked about in games like Counter-Strike quite a bit, right? But like I said, certain teams have auto bans, certain teams don't. You can talk about matchups that some of these teams have against other ones. What maps they're strong on? Do they have a lot of strong maps? Do they have weak maps? Do they have neutral maps? So this is giving us sort of a better picture of the map pool in front of us. And honestly, it makes me think that Reciprocity's map pool is pretty strong.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's very fair to say, especially we talked about last week and the way that they even looked when it came down to exhibit him. You got to give them a lot of credit. A certain few situations go their way, and this is Reciprocity up 1-0. Summons comes through with the boom, excuse me, takes down Rushies. The franchise up top, what I'll call broken. It's a Call of Duty term, just for good measure. It is a broken window, so why not? Here comes the push from NRG. They've got the 2. However, it's going to be Fran who actually does make a great escape. He's actually heading over toward D. Greeted with a few Lancer fire, but even still yet, that'll be a 2v1 situation for Fran to try to muster his way out of. And actually making a decent amount of success there as Fran does eventually go down, and Icy takes down Praise for good measure. So while NRG does in fact take back over D, it did not come without its struggles. Reciprocity definitely making their presence felt around the map.
Summons right behind or in front of 2 Reciprocity players, however you want to kind of describe that. They're kind of stuck between these 2 areas. You can see members of both teams flooding towards the E-Hill. It is going to be Summons finally taking down Icy, grabbing that meat shield, now approaching the E-Hill, getting that team fire in there. Unfortunately, he's going to be dropped. Kill swaying back towards Reciprocity. Russian Powers coming up huge right now. That's going to put them in a 4v2 situation. Prey is going to be dropped. The last remaining member is the team captain. Where is he? Seems to be fighting the other team
Consistently
captain.
Here.
But there is help. There are reinforcements. NRG will regain their home hill. They'll continue to fight through this round. At the very least, they've closed some of that time gap a little bit, right? They're in a much more manageable position. They are in position to win off 2. And like I said, with this new Escalation 2.0, I keep saying it, you can close leads so much quicker now with the hills giving you 2 points to 1 versus the 1.5 to when we saw it in Gears 4. And who else, by the way, in this spot of the map? Who else but Powers? Who else is going to be running around there wrecking absolute havoc?
Sky Special, I'll tell you what. Moment where Reciprocity need him.
Yep,
is there to answer the
franchise,
call.
Yeah. See Franchise making his way over to the home hills. Rec playing the game of objectives, at least for now. You see Mental versus Powers. Mental gets a good shot on him. Powers answers back. Doesn't hit quite the same spread. Mental tries to go wide. Powers playing ring around the rosy, waiting for his teammate. I love this teamwork from Reciprocity. Look at Kenny on the rotation, helping his teammate out. Meanwhile, Fran takes out Praised before being traded. Looks like, once again, Reciprocity fighting for the home hill. Solars versus Icy. Icy getting the better end of that, I believe, with some help from his team. That fresh boom shot in his hands. Rec should regain the time lead soon with this double home hill setup. NRG continuing to hold that E-Hill, but they know they have to get off spawn. They have to get that D-Hill back.
Icy ready. He misses.
I think he shot that a little prematurely. I think he's waiting for his teammate.
And Mental takes it. Mental takes down Kenny, and now we get to a situation of which they've still got F in their control, but NRG They've taken back over D. Here comes the knife, and it's actually met back.
And he breaks the E. But now F's getting broken. Rec has some time to play with. They can get on that E hill. And look at Icy getting one. He's going to now get the break onto D. Look at the Iceman. Everyone's off the map. That's a 5 wipe for Reciprocity. Once again in 2 straight weeks, we find ourselves on map number 3 in this Battle of the Titans. This seems like copy-paste from last week. Reciprocity lose a close map 1, come back, hit NRG in the mouth, and now we find ourselves in familiar territory. We find ourselves on map 3. Powers, 42 eliminations. Had just a beautiful map for himself.
And he was the guy we talked about. It was like a matter of, okay, you lose the first map, who are you going to rely on? At least one of those guys who has to kind of be up there when it comes down to a stat that we can easily track in terms of kills. It is this man, right? He's added a new element to this Reciprocity lineup. He's given them, I guess you could say, a little bit more moxie, right? He's given them a little more confidence when it comes into certain pushes. Of course, you have fantastic Slayers on this team, but when you have a guaranteed guy like Powers who has proven that he can take over games, that just makes NRG's life that much more difficult. But that's a 7-3 on Bunker, a map that we thought was somewhat questionable. We were curious about the map picks kind of coming into this, but that's Reciprocity walking away with a solid win. And, of course, it's closed out.
7-3, I mean.
It's closed out in a crucial 1v1, which you talked about. This new Reciprocity team, it always has been NRG, their ability to kind of clutch up and